If your mind won't stop and it keeps replaying everything, second guessing, questioning, not settling, you're not the only one who feels this way at night. And you don't have to fix it to be able to rest. Nothing here is asking you to figure anything out. You've been trying to get to the right answer, the right decision, the right feeling of certainty, and it just keeps moving. That search can pause now, not because you solved it, but because you don't need to continue it here. Thoughts can still be there, but they don't need your attention. They don't need to be followed. They don't need to be answered. And without you feeding them, they begin to lose their grip. There's a quieter part underneath all of that. Not loud, not forceful, just steady. You don't have to go looking for it. It's already there when the noise isn't being pushed forward. So you can stop chasing clarity. You can stop checking if you're getting it right. Nothing is being decided right now. Nothing is at risk in this moment. You can be here without solving anything and still be okay. Let the noise run out without keeping it alive, and let something quieter start to come through. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped following everything else. There's a subtle tension in the way the breath has been moving. Not tight enough to notice right away, but not fully open either. A slight hold in the chest, a quiet control at the top of the breath. That control begins to ease. Air moves in without being measured, and when it leaves, it doesn't pause to be managed. The chest starts to feel less occupied, less guarded. That constant readiness, that low-level alert begins to step down. There's more room now, not something created, just something that was being held back. The breath passes through with less interruption, no correction, no adjustment, just a steady exchange that doesn't require attention. The shoulders begin to respond. They've been carrying that subtle load, the one tied to figuring things out, keeping track, staying prepared. That load is no longer being held the same way. They settle lower, not dropped, just no longer engaged. The neck follows, less involved, less responsible. Even the throat clears in its own way. Nothing caught there, nothing waiting to be said or solved, just open space. The mind starts to feel that shift, that constant scanning, moving from one thought to the next, loses its urgency. Thoughts still pass through, but they don't pull you with them. They don't build on each other. They don't need to be completed. There's space between them now. More space than before. The breath continues, simpler, quieter, without needing to be guided, and without trying to change anything. Your system begins to settle into that space. Less holding, less pressure, less need to stay on. Just air moving through and space that no longer feels crowded. The forehead is still holding a small amount of activity, that familiar tightening where the mind keeps trying to sort things out. That effort begins to ease. The skin across the forehead smooths out, no longer organizing thoughts, no longer holding focus in place. The area between the brows softens. It stops narrowing. It stops searching. Just a quiet, open space there now. The eyes settle next. They've been active, tracking, reviewing, replaying. Now they sit further back, resting without needing to follow anything. No scanning, no checking, just stillness behind them. The jaw has been carrying more than it needed to. A subtle clench, holding back reactions, holding unfinished thoughts. That pressure releases. The teeth no longer meet with force. The tongue drops from its position. The lower face becomes heavier, less controlled, no longer preparing to respond. The neck eases out of that constant readiness, no longer needing to stay slightly tense or hold everything in place. It begins to lengthen with less effort moving through it. The back of the neck softens, no more bracing there. The shoulders follow. They've been holding that quiet load, the one tied to thinking, figuring, staying on top of everything. That load is no longer being carried the same way. They settle lower, not forced, just no longer held up. The arms become heavier, less involved, more supported than before. The upper chest begins to change. That tightness, that subtle guarding starts to loosen. The rib cage moves more freely. No catch, no hesitation, less holding around the heart. Further down, the stomach has been holding a steady contraction, that familiar tension that comes with doubt, with overthinking, with trying to get it right. That contraction releases. The belly softens outward. No pulling in, no holding steady. Just a neutral, unguarded center. The weight inside the body settles lower toward the hips. The hips receive that weight. Less readiness to move, less need to react, more grounded, more supported. The thighs release, no longer preparing to act. The knees loosen, no longer holding position. The lower legs become inactive, nothing waiting, nothing preparing. And the feet, which have been subtly adjusting all day, stop doing that. The soles rest fully, no balancing, no correction, just contact. The whole body is no longer organized around the mind. It's no longer responding to every thought. Everything is quieter now, less held, less activated, more settled. And underneath that, there's a steady sense of being here without needing to figure anything out. Unheld, grounded, clear enough to rest. The edges begin to soften, not disappearing, just no longer holding their shape the same way. Light settles gently across everything, warm, quiet, unhurried. It doesn't highlight or define. It spreads. A soft golden presence that rests without asking anything in return. The air feels clear, carrying something faint and clean, green, light, almost cool as it passes through. Each breath moves through that clarity, and something in the mind follows it. Not fully, just enough to notice there's less resistance now. The space around you isn't separate. It doesn't sit outside you. It meets you at the same level. Holding without enclosing. The ground beneath feels steady, not hard, just certain. a quiet support that doesn't shift and doesn't need attention. Weight settles into it and keeps settling as if there's no end point to where it can be received. There's a slow movement somewhere nearby, soft, unmeasured, like something continuing without needing direction. Nothing is pulling focus. Nothing is asking to be followed. Even the sense of time begins to loosen. Moments don't move forward the way they usually do. They spread, then thin, then lose their importance. The mind doesn't reach for answers here. It doesn't search. It doesn't check. Because nothing feels unfinished. Nothing feels unresolved. There's just this quiet, steady presence that doesn't need to explain itself. And being here feels enough. The space holds that for you without effort, without condition. And whatever was still active before continues to fade into the background until it's no longer something that needs to be followed. Everything settles into a softer, wider way of being, blurred at the edges, clear where it matters, and easy to remain inside, still, open, undisturbed. You don't need to think your way into clarity. You don't need to solve anything to feel settled. The part of you that keeps searching for the right answer can rest. Not because everything is figured out, but because it doesn't need to be right now. There is a quieter place underneath that search, not loud, not urgent, just steady. And it's still there, even when the thoughts move. You begin to settle into that instead, without forcing it, without trying to hold on to it, just allowing it to be there. Trust doesn't come from thinking more. It comes when the thinking stops leading everything. And right now, it's no longer leading. You are not the thoughts that keep repeating. You are not the questions that keep returning. You are the one who can stay here even when they pass through, steady, present, unmoved. You don't have to chase certainty. You don't have to check if it's there. It's already underneath everything that's been making noise. You are the one who knows without needing to explain it. You are the one who feels it without needing to confirm it. You are the one who stays even when the mind quiets down. This becomes easier to recognize, not all at once, just no longer blocked by constant thinking. Trust begins to feel familiar again, not something new, something that was already there. You settle into it naturally, without effort, and your system starts to accept this as the way you are now, not searching, not second guessing, just steady, just clear enough, just here. This quiet doesn't stay here. It doesn't disappear when the night ends. It stays in the way your mind responds when things start moving again. Nothing goes back to the same level of noise. Your system has already shifted. So, when thoughts begin to come in again, when questions show up, when that familiar what if tries to start, something in you doesn't follow it the same way. There's a pause, a small space before reacting, and inside that space, you don't rush to figure it out. You don't push for an answer. You let it pass without needing to resolve it immediately. That becomes natural, not something you practice, something your body already understands. You move through decisions without overloading them. You respond without replaying everything after. You let things be incomplete without feeling unsettled. Because trust is no longer something you're trying to create. It's something that stays with you while things are still unclear. You don't need full certainty to feel steady. You don't need to hear every answer to feel okay. You stay grounded even while things are still unfolding. The noise doesn't take over the same way. It passes through without becoming everything, and you remain clear enough, calm enough, certain enough to move forward without overthinking every step. This becomes your baseline, not constant thinking, not constant checking, but a quieter way of moving that doesn't drain you and that stays with you even when the day begins again. The mind can stop now without needing one more answer. Nothing left to check, nothing left to follow. The part of you that kept searching, replaying, trying to get it right, has already stepped back, and it stays quiet. Thoughts don't need to finish. They don't need to make sense. They lose their urgency, then their weight, then their presence. The noise fades on its own. You don't have to clear it. You don't have to silence it. It simply stops being carried. The search is over, not because everything is solved, but because nothing needs to be solved right now. You are not inside the noise anymore. You are the space it passes through. Steady, still, untouched. This is where you remain, not thinking, not checking, not trying to trust, just resting inside it, because it's already there. You don't have to find it. You don't have to hold it. You are it. Quietly, completely unmoved. Sleep now, without needing to understand anything, without needing to return to the questions. Everything can wait. Everything can stay unfinished, and nothing is lost, because you are already steady beneath it all, and that stays even as you drift.